If you're sitting inside of a jail or a prison, or you're on your way into the criminal justice system, the time is right now to begin thinking about the type of job that you want to create on the other side of this journey. The skills that you learn right now are going to have an enormous influence on whether you are going to prosper on the other side of serving your sentence, or whether you're going to struggle. Now, sadly, many people who go through the criminal justice system face enormous challenges in getting back into the employment market when they come home. I'm a big believer that we have to work to create our own income streams and our own jobs, and that's what you learn about if you go through the courses that I create. In fact, I'm going to scoot out of here right now and tell you that if you use this book, the Earning Freedom Daily Journal, you see the strategies that masterminds taught me about how to prepare for success, even while going through lengthy terms in prison. And it's really important to begin thinking about what I can do today to position myself for more success later. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I interact with a lot of people who went into the job market after a term of in prison, but I also create jobs for people. And one of the jobs that is probably really in abundance for people who are formerly incarcerated is the telemarketing career. But there are some risks associated with that. And so it's important to really understand how those risks can impact your future and your sense of fulfillment, because nobody wants to be living their life feeling as if they are pursued by even a civil law enforcement agency after they've already gone through a long time in prison. And so today what I want to talk about is, because telemarketing is a big job for formerly incarcerated people, I want to talk a little bit about the telemarketers and sellers, about the DNC provision in the Telemarketing Sales Rule. You can get all of this information directly from the Federal Trade Commission's website. This website provides a massive amount of information about the way this agency theoretically works to protect consumers. I have my own thoughts on this, but what's important is that you should recognize this is one of the major civil law enforcement agencies in the nation, and it governs all telemarketers. That means any kind of sales that take place over the telephone. So one of the problems that businesses have is they are always looking to get leads. They're always looking to connect with potential consumers that may want their product. And those leads, they frequently try to reach through the telephone, making cold calls. There are two ways that those leads can come in. One is through inbound marketing, meaning they may see a television commercial, or they may see an ad in the newspaper, or they may see an ad on Facebook. And when they see that ad, the consumer may visit the business, and then the consumer may want to download some type of what's called a lead magnet, or some type of information that will require them to provide their name, their email, and their phone number. And when they provide their name, email, and phone number, the company legitimately can begin marketing to them. What does marketing mean? It means sending information to help the consumer understand the value proposition that the business offers. There's the value proposition is going to be very helpful to the consumer if it solves their problem. But if the company starts to spam the individual, then the consumer has the right to opt out and say, I don't want to receive your marketing materials anymore. That's a transaction, right? The consumer said they wanted to receive something. The company began to send it. Either the company provided something of value and the consumer was happy, or the consumer did not feel happy with what he or she received and they opt out. Well, what the telemarketer sales rule provides is that it doesn't allow companies to reach out to people if the person didn't opt in. That's called outbound marketing, right? That means I'm picking up the phone maybe and cold calling people, or I'm finding a list and I find their phone numbers and I call them. Well, if I do that, I could be violating this telemarketing sales rule. And that means people in prison are really vulnerable to this problem, because if they go to work for a company, they may not know about these complications. They may not know what the do not call registry even is. I mean, I went to prison in 1987. When I got out of prison in 2013, I didn't know anything about this do not call registry because that wasn't an issue in 87 when I went to prison. But ignorance of the law is not an excuse for breaking the law. And so it's important to understand that the do not call registry means that consumers can call the FTC, they can put their number on the FTC's website, and by doing that, they theoretically protect themselves from being called by businesses that are trying to sell them something. And, I'll be honest, that's a problem out here. I get calls all day long from people that I didn't ask them to call me, but I get called by healthcare insurance companies. I get called by finance companies. I get messaged by all kinds of people. And I never asked to receive that information, but it comes a lot. So those calls are covered by the do not call list. And if a seller violates or calls somebody who said, hey, I don't want to be solicited by businesses that I didn't opt in for, and a company violates that, the company can be charged, as you see right here, $43,000 for every single phone call. Charities that are calling their own behalf, you can read it right here. If a third-party telemarketer is calling on behalf of a charity, a consumer may ask not to receive any more calls on behalf of that specific charity. If a third-party telemarketer calls again on behalf, the telemarketer may be subject to a fine of $43,792. Where they get these numbers, nobody knows. This is just the wisdom of big government. But the point is, if you are serving time in prison, you need to know that when you come home, jobs are scarce. One place that will hire formerly incarcerated people are telemarketing companies. That means they're companies that have a series of booths with telephones, and you go in there and they provide you with a list of leads, numbers, and then you call those leads and numbers and read from a script or provide some type of information to induce the consumer to do business with the company. That's all fine as long as the company is complying with the telemarketing sales rule. Because if they do not, the company is at the very least violating this rule, but at worst, it could also expose the employee to some type of government investigation and potentially criminal prosecution. And you don't have to take my word for it. When you come home, you can read through this website and learn all about these various telemarketing rules, the FTC rules, and what happens to people. Now, there's a difference between violating the FTC's telemarketing rule and violating the criminal statutes and law. But it can happen. And I've known people who have faced criminal charges as a result of, that starts off with an investigation of the Federal Trade Commission. So it's very important to understand these different rules. And on our website, we provide a lot of information about these rules because that's part of my other business, is helping small and medium-sized business owners understand how easily their decisions on the job can lead to government investigations or criminal prosecutions. But I'm really passionate about communicating this message to people who are in jail or prison, because I know how difficult it is for people in there to come back out and find a job. But finding a job isn't the pathway to stability. It's finding a job that coincides with your values and how you want to live. I can tell you, I personally went through litigation with the Federal Trade Commission, not because of this calls and so on, but because I made an investment in a company that theoretically didn't comply with the FTC rules. I would have had no way of knowing that. But as a formerly incarcerated person, I am vulnerable to everything. And that's what I want you to be thinking about. If you are in prison for the rest of your life, or certainly for many, many years, I've been out of jail for 7.5 years now. but I will always be looked at by many people as someone who went through 26 years in prison. And regardless of how successful I become, I recognize I'm always going to be vulnerable. I can't cry about it. I can't complain about it. That's not going to do me any good. What I have to do is succeed anyway. And I continue to work and build businesses so that I don't ever have to go and ask somebody for a job. But I know the challenges that many people in prison face. And that's why I provide information like I do here on a daily journal, where I'm urging people to learn how to invest in themselves, learn how to develop skills and resources that will help you become more valuable to the business community, and also learn how to protect yourself so that you are not vulnerable to working for a company that may have some nefarious problems or some type of business model that exposes them to an investigation, and then you get wrapped into it. Because if you get wrapped into it as somebody with a criminal record, you could be vulnerable to this concept of this theory of you knew or you should have known, and that is what the telemarketing, the FTC rule is all about. You either knew that this company was doing something or you should have known. Now, you can argue all day, how was I supposed to know? But that argument is not going to carry the weight of the day. You could be sued in civil court. You could have injunctions placed upon you. You could have fines placed upon you. You could have to make a settlement that could cost you a lot. It's just a parade of horribles that follows when somebody gets trapped into a government investigation. And so if you're in prison, I really think that you should learn a little bit more about civil investigations as well as criminal investigations, because when you go back into the job market, what you want to make sure happens is you're building a sustainable career, something that will allow you to grow and prosper and feel proud of your work, but simultaneously advancing. I always advocate for saying, learn how to create your own income streams and your own jobs. And that's what you see I do, because I really believe that that is the only pathway for me. As a person who served 26 years in prison, I don't really see myself as ever being able to join a company and have a career with a company. But that's okay. I can create my own path, and you can too. I believe in you, and I want you to believe in yourself, and it's my hope that you're using all of your time to prepare for success. Today is March the 4th, 2021. This is actually, sadly, the first video I'm producing for our YouTube channel in the month of March, because I've just been super swamped building businesses, and sometimes the demands of that are quite overwhelming. I also want to say I've gotten quite a few letters here from people in prison that are going through our courses, and I'm going to do my best to read these online and respond to them. I apologize for being late in doing that. I've got letters from Raul Serrano in St. Charles, Illinois, who's serving time there. I've got letters from Stephen Lemons also in St. Charles, Illinois. I got from, why are these all from Illinois? Oh, Chino, California, Jeff Miller, Rodney Morgan from Chino, California, Tyrell Fogg from Fresno, California, Douglas, Arizona. This is Haslock from Douglas, Arizona, and here's American Express. I don't know what they're sending me, but I will read these letters over the next couple of days, and I just wanted you to know that I believe in you, and I hope that you continue to believe in yourself and you build a life of success, even if you're inside of a jail or a prison. If you're watching this outside, I do hope that you'll subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think that's what I'll do tomorrow morning before I get started on my work, is I'll read some of these letters and just thank you for being a part of our community. God bless, and subscribe, and stay focused on preparing for your success upon release if you're in prison. Thank you.